This is the review for the final exam, December 2016. In this video, I'm going to do 3, 4, 5, and 6 on the review sheet, which I emailed to you guys. Question 3, I'm guessing that if you skipped the last class, which a fair number of students did, you're going to find question 3 difficult. Okay? Guys, you have to know the rules for when to use the z distribution or the t distribution. And I handed this paper out in the last class, okay? The rules are, I've highlighted them, and what I told students who attended the last class, I told them many times, I told them with, a lot of certainty that you must memorize these rules, okay? And then the strategy is that when you get into the exam, as soon as you have a piece of scratch paper, you write down these rules on the paper so you can then refer to them throughout the exam. So the z distribution, the standard normal distribution, we can use that distribution when we know sigma, okay, when we know the population standard deviation, or when our sample size is greater than or equal to 30. So please notice that this is an or rule. So, if only this is true, if we only know sigma, then we can use the z distribution. Okay, both of these things do not have to be true. On the other hand, to use the t distribution, it is what we can call a two-pronged rule. Okay, we use the t distribution when we only know s, so when we only know the sample standard deviation, and our sample size is less than 30. Okay, so for the t distribution, it's not enough if only one of these is true. Both of these must be true to use the t distribution. So let's go back and look at the questions and apply these rules to them. Okay, so the multiple choice question, these can be quite confusing actually, and the way to do them is to really think about what is shown. Okay, so which of the statements below explains which value to use? And option A says use the t value with a population standard deviation. Okay, why is this not inking? So use it with a population standard deviation of sigma. What a pain. Population standard deviation of 4. Okay. And a sample size of 33. Well, no, we can't, because we use the t when we only know s and our n is less than 30. Okay, so this is definitely not true, this A. Okay, B tells us use the t value with a sample standard deviation of 9. So that they've told us that we know s. I don't know why this isn't working properly. We only know s. Okay, and our sample size is 15. So let's think about the rules for t. We can use t when we only know s and when our n is less than 30. So yes, both of those criteria have been met. So yes, we would use the t value. Let's look at the last two. Use the z value with a sample standard deviation of 5 and a sample size of 28. No, because for the z, we either need to know sigma, we don't know sigma, okay, or our sample size has to be 30 or higher. So this option C doesn't have anything valid to use z. Option D, use a z value with a sample standard deviation of 55 and a sample size of 12. Well, again, to use the z, we have to know sigma, we don't know sigma, or our sample size has to be greater than 30 or greater. Okay, so again, it doesn't fit either of the rules for using the z distribution. Okay, questions 4 and 5, really I included these just to really kind of reinforce in your minds that you must memorize these two rules. Okay, you got to know those, because this z versus t is not just going to show up as a multiple choice question or two. It's also going to show up in the actual questions. Yeah, you have to know which distribution to use to solve the actual questions. Okay, so on to question 6. I think I might try to, I don't know why my pen is not really working properly. Question 6. A study on the production time of Nespresso coffee capsules shows that time is normally distributed with mu, the population standard deviation, equaling 2 minutes, and sigma, population... Oh, I think I just misspoke. Mu, the population mean, equaling 2, and sigma, the population standard deviation, equaling 0.11. Okay? And then we select a random sample of 20 coffee capsules. So our n is 20. And they want to know the standard error of the mean. Now, standard error of the mean is shown on your formula sheet. Okay, if you look on your formula sheet, you are going to find this formula. And it's helpfully labeled. Standard error. Okay? So all we have to do then is just slot in our values. So sigma was 0.11 and our sample size was 20, so we put the square root of that. And that's going to work out to 0.0246. And it told me to show the answer to 2 decimal places, so I'm going to round it. So that's my final answer. Okay? So, I'll say it again, the really important thing for, question 3, 4, and 5, the most important thing really on this first page is you must memorize the rules for when to use Z and T. Okay? I have skipped questions 1 and 2. Those are on sampling methods, which we covered in class. I wrote diagrams on the board, okay, and you have PowerPoints about those. All right, so that's question 3, 4, 5, and 6 for the final exam, December 2016.